Welcome to the carnage.
And welcome back to the Carnage. I am Mr. Carnage, and today we are going to go over a couple of these videos that I found of this dude Destiny. Now, before we get into that, two things. One, I just wanted to say thanks. We're over 1,000 subs now, somewhere in the vicinity of 1,200. I really appreciate it. All the likes, the comments, the engagement, even the bad comments, and people sending me DMs, saying this, that, and the other. I'm not going to get into all that. I like the engagement, even the bad ones. So you guys feel like, got something to say to me, say it. It's a free country, right? And two, before we get into the videos about this Destiny character, I saw him, I want to say, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months ago, something like that, where he was debating with Jordan Peterson. And I watched that, and I felt through that whole debate that Peterson just smashed him, grabbed him, let him have it, because he seems to flip flop a lot, Destiny, anyways, on his convictions. And I can kind of tell just based on that, the type of person that he is. If you are losing a debate and you're, to sound more intelligent, you're going to kind of backtrack on your conviction a little bit and give some, side quest bullshit story to where you were trying to get to. I just don't have a lot of respect for you. It's stick to your guns, stick to your convictions, and if you're losing a debate, you're losing the debate. It just means the person that you're talking to came much more well prepared about the topics than you. That's on you. That's not on the other person. So that being said, we're going to watch these videos, and kind of just a disclaimer. Again, I'm a moderate. I'm not on the left. I'm not on the right. But over the last, week now, I can honestly say in my original video where I posted that I lost a couple friends, I've lost a lot more since then. Now I'm at around 7 friends that I've lost, and that's okay. I mean, most of the majority of the ones that I have lost since this all went down weren't as detrimental as the first couple, that I was friends with for, 25 plus years, but is what it is. So we're going to go ahead and get into this and see what Fuckstick has to say.
Wait, holy sh! Is this guy dead? Wait.
Counting gang violence. Great.
Whoa! 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 He's super dead. Oh.
You see that? That reaction right there? Now, think about this for a minute. If the tables were turned and it was him who is deleted, do you seriously think that Charlie Kirk would have made that reaction? Do you think he would have, his eyes would have lit up with glee that he's seeing a political rival get, deleted? No, absolutely not. I guarantee that would not have been anywhere near Charlie's reaction. And that just goes to show you the difference between these sick fucks and everybody else on the planet.
Hate Charlie Kirk. I think he's actually a Satan spawn, but he's very strategically minded.
Charlie Kirk's been doing this a long time, more than 10 years. Why has it taken the left so long to catch up and still hasn't caught up?
Republicans vertically are very well integrated when it comes to making sure that they're winning elections.
Yeah.
Right? There's the people who in 2020 they thought the election was stolen in every state basically. Yeah. But they still shut up to vote next time. So something is happening there where they're really big on going out and winning elections. And I think that shows at every single level, to where when people are organizing or when people are creating alternative media networks, whether you're talking Tim Pool, influencing other ones like Joe Rogan, or trying to do things with college kids like Charlie Kirk, they're making these events and they're gathering all these different people. For Charlie Kirk, it's school kids, but the single focus is winning elections. And somehow I feel like on the left, I don't know how this happened online. Maybe it's because we tend to be younger or whatever, but somehow the party's messaging apparatus, it feels like it's got hijacked from people by people who won't vote for your candidates.
Well, that's part true. The other part is that the Democratic Party is splintered. There's too many factions within the Democratic Party for it to be a congealed one-party type, unit right now. So, I mean, most, which there aren't very many, but, moderate liberals, where most of them have been in the middle the whole time, old school liberals, they no longer recognize the party anymore. So and it's mostly, they're the ones that have been, Joe Biden, for example, are much older. They're way older. And so the younger far left liberals they don't typically want to vote for him. And kind of another reason why, Kamala lost is the middle voters did not want an extreme liberal. And that's what most of my, moderate thinking friends have also told me about like the election was that she's just way too liberal for America's own good. And they just couldn't within good conscience vote for her. And I feel like that's down the board. So that's part of it. The other part is that liberals just don't organize near as good when it comes to messaging, is because they have too many messages. It's chaotic. And they can't focus on a couple of talking points. It has to be, well, the trans community, the LGBTQ bullshit. It has to be, this progressive socialist way of thinking. We want to switch America to being a more socialist country, so on and so forth. It's just too much for a normal voter to be like, okay, so you're just talking crazy shit, so I'm not going to vote for you.
Which I think is incredibly destructive.
You need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay.
There you go. I mean, this is exactly his level of thinking. And one of the biggest reasons why I know most people who are just typical moderate liberals cannot stand this guy. I can't, just because I think he's just an evil piece of shit, to be honest with you. But even if you get past that and you try to listen to his point of view, like I said, going back to the Jordan Peterson debate where, he got schooled, the one where he tried to take on Ben Shapiro, which I thought was fucking hilarious. These people that he's tried to take on in these debates, I feel like he's met his match, right? I feel like most of the people that he debated before becoming as popular as he is now with the left were, rinky-dink, average, everyday, conservative vloggers, guys that aren't even on the same echelon, right, as Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro. So, no, he's out of his mind, and he makes these points, and he tries to back out of them. But when he was called out for saying this shit that he just said, he was like, well, that's not what I was just saying that the conservatives need to turn down the temperature. That he just keeps making that point. They need to turn down the temperature. It's like, no, that's not how this works, dickhead.
I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's gonna be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cuck shit out here. Please don't anybody make any actual fucking, the most cucked, weak-ass, fucking bullshit-ass speeches on my side. God, if it happens, holy shit, I'm gonna make a death note before I go out to go live and not. God, it's so cucked. It's so optics cucked.
Cox has made it clear that their investigation has now established that he had been radicalized by a leftist ideology, which drove him to do this. That's just
I'm sorry, excuse me, when?
Yesterday, you said that. Or response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate.
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side.
There we go again. So his justification for a human being losing his life has nothing to do at all with him being a human being. You see how he just throws his humanity out the window, doesn't give a fuck about that at all. He's just like, well, until Republicans do what the fuck I want them to do, like, they just need to stay afraid and shut the fuck up and quit crying about Charlie Kirk, right? That's the fucking level of mindset this monster has.
We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term.
See, and there he's blaming the voters. Well, if you didn't want Charlie Kirk to be dead, you wouldn't have voted for Trump. So if you vote for Trump or you keep supporting Trump, more people are basically going to get, deleted. That's how this man is thinking. This is how his mind works. And it's absolutely asinine insane, to be honest with you, because this shouldn't be the talking points at all. Because, one, over the last 3 years, we're not talking just this year, the last 3 years, the left have contributed to more political violence than the right has. Okay. And then on top of that, usually when there is that level of violence, you're not seeing everybody on the right cheering for the death of a human being. You're not seeing them. Have I seen a few? Sure. There's crazy fucks out there that, obviously are like, way fucking gone. Sure. But it's not where you're on TikTok and you're scrolling and every other video is somebody cheering for the death of a human being.
Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
Honestly, the way the left is so desensitized off of this political violence is insane. What do you mean that the conservatives had to fear for their lives? The craziest part about this situation is, yes, I understand you have freedom of speech, just like how you could say that crazy ass shit. No matter how you feel about what a conservative is, it does not give you the justification to go out there and kill somebody just because they don't agree with what you're saying. And one of the reasons why I did leave the Democratic Party is because I was not getting the answers that I was asking for. In 2017, whenever I was in the middle, yes, I did vote for Trump the first time around, but still, I was still a Democrat. But in 2018, it started to make a lot more sense because every time I would speak to somebody, the only thing that they were able to do was just argue back. Argue. And I'm like, bro, there's no way that we're going to get into an agreement, come in the middle and agree with something. Because back in the days, that's exactly what you were able to do. Get at least 3 people. There's going to be one person that's right in the middle and there's 2 people on each side. The person that's right in the middle is supposed to make everything make sense. Now,
yeah, and most of us in the middle try, but this day and age, we just can't. We can't make sense of the political climate because the game has changed. It's not like it was, when Dukakis and Reagan were running against each other, right? The level of respect during those debates, I mean, you wouldn't see that anymore. You're not going to ever see 2 men on a stage like that where, they jabbed, right? Dukakis was making fun of how old Ronald Reagan was, and Reagan said that he wasn't going to make the election about age and that his partners, youth and experience is working against him. That was a jab. It was funny. The whole country fucking laughed, but you're just not going to see that kind of shit no more because we can't make sense of the game. It keeps changing and it's not changing for the better, my friends.
Now there's just like, there's right, there's conservative, there is radical right, but everybody on the left is radicalized, bro. It's like nothing you say to them makes sense. Anytime you make a point or show them some valid information, all they want to do is argue with you, fight back, call you names, act like fucking toddlers, bro. That's why these people will never be back into office.
Andrew brings up misinformation.
Is it misinformation when you say that a firefighter who got murdered at a rally, when you laugh at that and you say that that's totally fine, are you spreading misinformation?
I don't know if I said that's totally fine. I think I said I don't really have any sympathy for
No, you
didn't.
You laughed about it. You thought it was funny. You didn't give a shit. You were under fire on Twitter for weeks until you finally backed away.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I saw that whole exchange. And yes, Destiny more or less laughed about it, smirked about it, made some asinine comments about it. And this is just, so the Charlie Kirk thing isn't exactly something new for this guy, right? He's made these types of, fucked up comments before to other people, getting hurt or losing their life or whatever. He just doesn't give a shit about human life. And more I watch him, the more I notice, like, he's not only narcissistic, which obviously, I mean, anybody with a, degree in any kind of psychology out of a fucking cracker, box, whatever you want to call them anymore. They're no longer Cracker Jack. They're something else now, of course. But can tell that this guy's a narcissist. And that if you go deeper, you can also tell that the man has some serious, issues being a sociopath. And there's telltale signs that this guy may even be a drug addict from some of the other videos where he's doing these chattering. And usually you only see that in people who are taking some type of speed.
I haven't backed away from any of those statements.
Yeah.
You go find the
You haven't backed away from any of them?
No, not at all.
You don't care that the guy died, right?
People died. Rallies
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. You don't...
This is a dangerous idea when we act like, well, shit happens. One side is going too far, therefore, what do you expect?
When this side is involved
But you
in
care
some of
about
the most
misinfo?
violent, divisive.
Don't you think that if you make claims like Donald Trump is un-American, Donald Trump doesn't like the Constitution, and then you have an assassin come, he tries to kill Donald J. Trump at a rally, another American dies. Aren't you spreading misinformation by saying to people, this is okay? Isn't that
I don't think
un-American?
I've ever said this is
Isn't
okay.
it
I've said
un-American?
over and over again that there shouldn't be any political violence in the United
That's
States.
great.
It's not good.
Oswald Mosley, he claimed because the other side engaged in violence, he had no choice, and he really didn't like violence. That's very similar to the argument that Destiny's making. Who was Oswald Mosley? He was the leader of the fascist party in the UK at the same time Hitler came into power.
Donald Trump and your side are the ones that have engaged in divisive rhetoric for years. This idea that saying Donald Trump is un-American when Donald Trump himself says that he would be a day one dictator,
Divisive
that
rhetoric
he would
is fun.
suspend the Constitution. I'm sorry,
No.
if the divisive
There's a
rhetoric
difference
keeps
between
quoting
divisive
Donald
rhetoric
Trump
and
against,
assassinating the
that's
guy.
Donald Trump's problem. Maybe you
Your
should
rhetoric has led to assassination attempts, and one of the guys who died there, you don't even give a shit, and I've said this multiple times. And at the same time, you're like, oh, I love America. What kind of bullshit is this, Destiny?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I agree with Andrew on that. Absolutely, is it going back to him always flip flopping on his convictions, and I mean the internet's forever, guys. When you say shit on the internet, it's there for good. You can take your video down, you can try to wipe it from the internet, but there's always going to be somebody who's going to find it. There's going to be somebody who recorded what you said or whatever, and then when you show those receipts to guys like Destiny, they're like, I never said that. What I said was, it's like, dude, we have the fucking evidence of what you said right here. This is you, right? You, that's you. Uh-huh. This is what you said. Uh-huh. Right? And they fucking deny it. They're like, that's not what I meant. That's not what I said. It's like, oh my God. It's like talking to a fucking kid. Did you eat the cake? No? Well, who ate the cake? It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, it's
when you guys start
unbelievable.
taking accountability for some of the crazy things that you say, come and talk to me, okay? Come and talk to me.
There are things I respect about Destiny, seeing him work with high school students at Jubilee, which I'm hoping to get that footage so I can show it. But if I'm looking at this objectively, he does get outplayed here by Andrew Wilson. If we ever do lose the framework of the Founding Fathers to fascism, one of the major contributing factors will be the overuse and casually throwing this term around. It will be the boy who cried wolf, and then when the wolves show up, no one even knows what a real wolf looks like.
That's kind of what we're dealing with the word racist today. Like everything is racist, right? Doesn't matter what it is. It's like, that's racist. That's racist. That it's been overused so much, and the racist card has been played so much that most people now, they wouldn't even know what racism is because it's been so fucking diluted. And so there's that fatigue, right? And he's basically saying the exact same thing because that's all you hear from the left. Everybody on the right's a fascist. Everybody on the right's a Nazi. And that's the rhetoric and, dangerous speak that got Charlie Kirk killed in the first place.
Streamer Destiny was caught again talking to a minor. His son was posting some pretty, crazy stuff saying that it's totally understandable to want to talk to minors because he's 15 and he thinks the younger the better. His son is also posting some crazy stuff. It's kind of sad because his son obviously had to see a bunch of weird leaks of his dad and his mom cheating on his dad, and also, is just kind of neglected by his dad, who won't even take time to, spend with him. But Destiny has allegations being spread by everybody of his private messages with a 17-year-old. Even his own son. Previously, Destiny defended as a joke talking to younger women, or just younger people overall. He says, have you seen the 15-year-olds they're putting out today, though?
Yeah. And that's the reason I added this video into this, was so you can also kind of see the mind frame of this guy, right? Is that not only was his girlfriend, wife cheating on him for a while, he knew about it, so he was being a cuck, and then he overuses that word in all of his streams, which I find hilarious. It's like, dude, why are you saying that word when you are one, right? It's silly. And then his own son basically didn't really turn on him necessarily, but said, yeah, my dad's been talking to these fucking minors, basically. And he's trying to defend it and then goes and says some crap like, dude, have you seen some of these 15-year-olds? It's like, dude, you're sick, man. Not only do you not care about human life, but you obviously don't care about boundaries or, the fucking protection of children. This guy is batshit.
I don't know. I'm sure that some of the commenters will say, like, he's got a point, but, come on, man. Also, this guy's not a good dad. He wouldn't even take time off of streaming to go hang out with his own son. I still find a way to hang out with my infant son who doesn't even know I'm really there. And you can't hang out with your son that's, like, basically becoming an adult?
Charlie Kirk will be largely untalked about and forgotten 2 weeks from now.
And here we are, a week out, and everything I've seen, it doesn't really seem to me that people have forgotten it. In fact, more and more I see is people are still just absolutely gutted. And I don't think that, this is like a typical celebrity dying, right? Like, somebody that I personally, looked up to when I was a kid was Kurt Cobain, right? And so when Kurt died and I saw it on MTV News, I was fucking devastated for weeks. And here I am, 30 some odd years later, and I still think about it to this day, like when I hear Nirvana come on the radio or, I pop on one of the songs on like Amazon Music or something, and, it'll hit me, I'll remember that moment and like, man, I can't remember like, what exactly Kurt Loder said, but I can definitely remember how I felt, So again, Destiny's like playing it off. Nobody's going to care. It's just going to get swept under the rug. Everybody's going to go back to, normalization and blah, 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 blah. And that's what he's hoping for, because he knows, or at least he should know, that this event probably cost the Democrats the midterms and the next presidential election, if not the next couple.
I don't know what'll happen with Turning Point USA.
He was really big, important. And
aside from the moral reason, this is also the pragmatic reason this isn't good. It just makes the movement stronger, no? No, that's a truism that's given, and I don't believe it at all. That like, oh, when somebody dies, they become a martyr. And blah. No, I don't think that's true. I think that people are powerful when they're alive. Other people might be able to take advantage of your death as you're martyred, but then that's on them to like become a big figure. But the idea that like Charlie Kirk will be largely untalked about and forgotten 2 weeks from now. I don't know what'll happen with Turning Point USA. That organization, I'm sure, will carry on in some way. Maybe they have some other leadership there that's ready to kind of like step up.
And since we're on the subject there, dickhead, as of today, his wife became the new CEO of Turning Point. So her message to the world after her husband's death, where she said she wasn't going to let people forget, she is definitely trying her best to make sure that that doesn't happen. So there's that.
But Charlie Kirk was an incredibly important and probably unique figure in U.S. politics, and his death will be I would imagine, a pretty significant blow to the conservative like college radicalization movement. So,
a good word, such a solid.
Did you see his mannerisms, the way he like talks and like how he shrugged? He's like, no, I don't know. That just goes to show you he has absolutely no fucking, morals, period. He doesn't care. And I get it, right? From a political point of view, like political rivals, you don't necessarily like them. But here's the difference between like me and this jagaloon. One is that I have political rivals, but I at least respect them because they stand on business. They stand on their convictions, their views, and that's what they stand on. No matter what. No matter what I say to them, it's not going to change their mind, right? And that's something to respect. We don't have to hate each other. We don't. You don't have to be best friends. I'm not going to invite this guy over for steak dinner and, fuck my wife or something. Like, that's never going to happen. But you don't have to hate the person.
Good word. We have so many bad people, so many.
I got one question for you, and I want you to actually answer it. Are you glad Charlie Kirk is dead?
No, I don't think anybody in this country should be dying to political violence. It's insane. The past 5 years in this country has been crazy. But the reality is, until conservatives
so then why did you say to your co-host that Trump deserved a bullet? Why did you tell him that?
To say Until conservatives have to say, hey, we all need to be less violent, there's no purpose in Democrats doing it, because every time Democrats disavow, you further entrench your guys' delusional beliefs that all the violence is coming on the left. Donald Trump can go on TV, he can say, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. They can go on Parler and say, we heard you. They can go to the Capitol and break in and try to insurrect. They can get convicted in front of a jury, and then Donald Trump can pardon them, and we can come out and go, hey guys, why aren't Democrats disavowing violence? And pretend that the problem is coming from the left. Democrats do a disservice to this country by disavowing violence constantly when the president of the United States
Let me respond
won't go on
quickly.
TV and say all of
Let
us
me
need to
respond
be less
quickly,
violent.
Destiny.
How easy
So
would that
the
be?
thing is, why did you say to your co-host
keep focusing
that
on me.
the
Keep
bullet
focusing on me.
Destiny, frankly, if you
No, I mean, exactly. You can't come on. All right, so this is national TV, right? You can't say one thing on national TV, but then you have like clips on Twitch, which, by the way, I heard Twitch did tell Destiny to go fuck himself. So I don't think he's I think he's fully banned or suspended, something like that. I don't know. Don't give a fuck about this motherfucker enough to care about his personal life. But that being said, he says one thing on like his, podcasts and Twitch and this, and then he goes on like live TV, like national TV, and says something completely different. This is what I'm talking about. He doesn't stand on his convictions at all. And I as fucked up as it is, I would actually probably respect him more if he would have just flat out admitted to everybody, like, yeah, I'm completely cool with what happened, because that's what you said. But you go on national TV in front of everybody and you change that, like, that's not what. No, it's bad. It's like, man, shut the fuck up.
You can't bring yourself just to say the murder was horrific and should never have happened. It's a very simple sentence. It's just basic humanity. It really makes me despair for where everything is going, because it's indicative of the mindset of, I can't give an inch to my political opponents, therefore I lose my humanity. How can that be right?
Because you can't give an inch to political opponents that won't recognize or acknowledge anything they've done is wrong. It's all it's done is gotten us here. This is where we're at because of that exact mindset. Will any of the conservatives here acknowledge the conservative that murdered Melissa Hortman and her husband and shot the other senator in Minnesota?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
That it was a conservative shooter? That it was a
Yes.
conservative shooter?
I don't know the details on that particular case. If I
course,
did,
yeah,
and
of
it
course
turned out
they
that
don't,
it was it turned out it was the case, of course, I would say that such violence should be disavowed. Thing is, you can't hold your entire moral standard based on what you think Trump is doing or not doing. What does that have to do with you, Destiny? It has nothing to do with you. You can easily
has
just
to do
say,
with is that
you
when
can lead by
conservatives
example and say,
refuse
let's
to
all tone
acknowledge-
down the
You can't
violence.
lead by
That's
example.
what
I'm
you
not the
want,
president
right?
of the United States. That's what Democrats have been doing.
Wait,
for
you
the
can't
last
lead by
decade.
example because you're not the president?
Yeah, he's got a point. I mean, you don't have to be the president of the United States to lead by example, right? I'm not the president. I'm not a huge YouTuber. I don't have fucking millions of followers, but I can sit here in the comfort of my own home, as small as I am, and still say that I disavow any political violence, period. It doesn't matter what side it comes from. Okay? It's not hard. It's not asking you to go against your political beliefs just to say murdering somebody in cold blood is wrong. There's nothing that goes against your political belief there. Nothing. Everybody, regardless of whether you're on the left or right, that should not even be a political belief. That should just be a humanity fucking driven, ingrained, right and wrong thing, period. Thou shalt not kill if you're a Christian, right? I'm not. I'm not religious at all. My moral is that all life should be and is unique and special, and it should be looked as such. It doesn't matter whose life it is, right? I'm not like a tree-hugging hippie where I'm like, oh, don't go out hunting deer or anything like that. I go hunting. That's a completely different thing to me. I know there's people out there that see it, all life on the planet, which, if we're going to be honest, the the vegan vegetarian thing, it's like, well, technically eating, vegetables and trees and all this thing, they're alive as well. So you don't really care about all life, but that's a fucking topic for another day. So going back on point here, why can't this guy just say murder is wrong? That's all he has to say. And he refuses to do it.
That's the
when
stupidest thing I've heard
if
today.
one side wants to fight and the other side doesn't, then you're going to fight. One side can't decide not
What
to
are you
fight,
talking?
but the other
That
side
makes no
decided to.
sense. What does that have
What
to
do you
do
mean
with
it
you?
makes no
You
sense?
can-
If
you
some
can
guy comes up to
easily-
you to
you
fight,
can easily
and the
just
other
say it
side
now,
says, I
Destiny.
don't want to, you don't really have the choice there.
Lead
That's
by
how fighting
example, then.
works.
Lead by
You
example.
can't lead by
and show
example.
us.
That's called dying.
You can.
Actually,
right
I
now.
thought-
You
I
do
thought-
it right
I
now.
actually
Second
thought-
Amendment rights.
Do it right
I
now.
actually
That's the party of
thought, let me
self-defense.
jump in.
'Cause you're actually happy
Let me
about
jump
it,
in
Destiny.
here. I don't understand why you need to wait for him before your own
I don't
humanity
need to
kicks
wait
in.
for anybody. No, you're not asking how we feel about it. You're asking what the public statements should be. And the public statements should
No,
be the
I'm
President
not.
of the United States.
I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No,
You're
I'm
asking
not.
me for a public statement
I'm
right
asking,
now.
where
You
is
think
your
it's great watching a
humanity? You
colleague
can't
getting
just
murdered?
say the
Where is
murder
your
was
humanity,
wrong.
peers? You guys are playing into this exactly. I think you probably know it. I think Cornell was right about this. You know where your bread is buttered as well. You guys play into this. It's insane to me that the President of the United States can't say, hey, all of us need to be less violent. We all need to calm the fuck down. That the President of the United States can't say this, but you will endlessly scour Twitter and YouTube for leftists to bring on and say, don't you guys disavow the violence? It's absolutely absurd to me.
Well, 2 points there. One, you're the only ones on the internet and Twitter, as you say, cheering and celebrating a man's death. So there's that. So why would the other side have to come and say anything about it? They're not the ones who are being maniacal, evil bastards saying anything about cheering for a man or a woman or anything to be dead. You're the only ones doing it. So
if someone assassinated my husband, I would not be able to have the level of composure she had during that speech. I would be out for blood. I understand why she's angry and why she said the things that she said. Okay, you need to understand what being a human is, what it's like to actually lose someone that you love, that you chose to spend your life with, that you chose to raise children with, a person who was violently and viciously assassinated like that. This is why I've moved
That's fine.
away
And when
from
something
identifying as a
you got bullied online. It's so funny. It's so funny that you just
so
said that you
embarrassing
don't
on the
think about
left.
how
just so you know, it's just garbled. It was garbled. Every clip that I found of this was that way. I think it was just garbled live.
other people act to define your behavior. Your entire political ideology now is somehow defined by the people that were mean to you on Twitter.
No,
if somebody
it's
cares
not.
about somebody who's
No,
grieving,
I
then
understood
you tell that
what
person,
the flaws
you
on
tell
the
that
left
person,
happen to
hey,
be. The
maybe you
weakness
should
in their
step back for a
arguments.
couple of
No,
weeks.
no, it's
Maybe you
not
should
about
take
the
some
way
time
I
to
get
grieve.
treated.
You don't
I
say,
get
hey,
treated
let's
like
throw a
crap from
camera in
both
front
sides
of
of
you
the
and have
political
you do
aisle.
mass recruitment for our political party while everyone over here is calling for civil war. It's unhinged. When you've got people like Matt Walsh in the Daily Wire, the
we're
president
talking
of the
to a
United States
guy
calling
who
for
said
civil
he'd be
war.
okay with his own parents getting killed if they went to that Trump rally where that assassination
And
attempt
we're talking
happened.
to a
There's
woman
no
who went
reasoning
on and
with
did
you,
the whole
Destiny.
conservative media
There's
outlet
no,
with
there's
Tucker
no
Carlson
reasoning
and
with
Glenn
you.
Beck and had
Okay.
nothing bad.
Kickstreet.
Yeah, there isn't. You can't reason with madness. And that's just something that, unfortunately, a lot of people have to, recognize that, you're seeing these people who are getting fired because of what they did and what they said. And then you've got these, other people out here, bleeding heart for them. Like, oh, well, freedom of speech. It's like, well, what about Charlie Kirk's freedom of speech? Where does he not get extended the same level of courtesy, the same level of rights that everybody else does? So every time I hear that argument, I seriously just lose my shit. Where it's like, you guys are talking about freedom of speech and that you should be able to say and do these things and there be no consequences like getting fired. But what happened to Charlie using freedom of speech, that's completely okay. That's fine. So losing a job is worse than losing a life? Where the fuck do you people get this shit?
Streamer and debater Destiny has had a police report filed against him for sharing intimate recordings of several female streamers. Recently, several female streamers came out against him for sharing private photos with others. These included two by the name of Pixie and Cherry. Cherry has submitted a report and made it clear in a recent X post saying, "I submitted my report and my evidence to the police." She also said that Destiny blocked her on all other platforms. That gets a big yikes from me, but let me know your thoughts below.
So that was kind of why I added that last clip was, so he has reports for police for, doing things with minors. Then he's got reports from women saying that he's released like revenge porn and done all this other shit. If this doesn't paint the picture of what type of person this is to you guys, I don't know what will. I mean, he's an absolute unhinged and mentally ill, if we're being honest, person. And why so many far leftists watch this guy is beyond me, and not recognize that level of just, the man has fucking lost his shit. So it's a sad, sad state of affairs, but it is what it is. And with that being said, I will catch you all on the next video.